Hello everybody, my name is Chase here, and today I'm going to talk about... Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Everybody loves the GameCube. Well, everybody except Nintendo. The GameCube was one of their worst-selling consoles, right beside the Wii U and the Virtual Boy. And it's not that the console was bad, far from it in fact. It had an incredible library of games, and a controller that is still used for Super Smash Bros. To this day. It was just going up against the PlayStation 2, and pretty much anything that got in that behemoth's way was going down whether they liked it or not.
The Dreamcast is still recovering.
It also didn't help that the discs were smaller, so they couldn't hold as much information as full-size discs. But hey, that didn't stop the thing from being the home to an assload of licensed games. You know the ones. The games you'd buy as a kid because Metroid Prime was looking a little too intimidating and hey, Madagascar. I mean, it makes sense. Why would you risk buying a game you know nothing about when Ratatouille is right there? And I mean, it's not like licensed games were a new thing, but it seems like the 6th generation was an absolute breeding ground for these things. Companies were pumping these out like madmen to the point where this video isn't even going to make a dent in the surface of all the GameCube licensed games there are.
But my question really is, was any of them actually good? And that's what I'm here to find out today. So let's take a trek into the world of movie and TV show based tie-in games to see if maybe we can find some hidden gems. Or maybe just make my day a little worse. It's the second one, isn't it?
Alright, let's get this one out of the way first, because most people already know that this game is good. In fact, I'll go a step further and say it's great. Created by Heavy Iron Studios and THQ Nordic, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for the Bikini Bottom was released on October 7th, 2003, and is the best game in this video by far. I mean, it's the only one that got a full HD remake last year, so I'm sure this ain't no Finding Nemo.
We will get to you.
It's a pretty simple action platformer about bashing robots and collecting shiny MacGuffins. It's very clearly inspired by games like Mario 64 or Spyro the Dragon, and that's not a bad thing because it takes all the things that were great about those games. The controls are incredibly smooth, the characters just feel fun to pull off moves with. My favorite of course being Sandy with her gliding and rope swinging. And completing challenges and getting golden spatulas is not only rewarding, but really fun. And most of the cast from the show reprised their roles. Keyword being most, though. Pretty much everybody but Clancy Brown, who voices Mr. Krabs and Mermaid Man, came back. And the guy that got to replace him sounds almost nothing like them.
SpongeBob, this flapping robot crisis is making the Krusty Krab lose money like a sinking ship. No money means no more Krusty Krab. No more Krusty Krab means no more fry cooking for you.
Huh? What? Oh, yeah, it's that Sponge Kid. And now, what was I supposed to tell you?
But overall, this is a very solid action collectathon that still holds up to this day. There's a reason why people still speedrun this game to this day. It's just a very smooth experience.
But the thing is that everybody already knows this. So instead, I'd like to shift gears to a lesser known game in the same series, the SpongeBob movie game. Well, that's an oxymoron.
This game was released on October 27, 2004 by the same developers to coincide with the release of the movie in theaters. And the game even has clips from the movie. Yeah, sort of. Instead of actually having the clips, they use static images with a narrator.
Plankton is now selling the Krabby Patty at the Chum Bucket, and with every purchase, customers are getting a mind-controlling bucket helmet. Squidward has discovered Plankton's plan to create an army of bucket heads. Will Squidward save the day?
I don't know why they didn't just use the scenes. You're trying to tell me that they had the rights to the movie, but not the scenes in the movie? Anyway, if Battle for the Bikini Bottom is Mario 64, then the SpongeBob movie game is Mario Galaxy. Instead of golden spatulas, you collect Goofy Goober tokens. But the way you get them is a little different. Levels, unlike last time, have a distinct beginning and end, unlike the free roaming of the last game. You get a Goober token for finishing a stage, but there are others in the levels that you can get for doing optional objectives. This might be seen as a step back from the last game, but it actually has a lot going for it. For starters, the soundtrack is way better. There were some memorable themes from Bikini Bottom, but they were so laid back. The songs this time are much more catchy and upbeat. A noticeable improvement is the collectibles. The shiny things were mostly just to get more MacGuffins, but in this game, once you get enough of them, you can level up, allowing you to choose what you want to upgrade. It's actually a pretty fun system. There's different costumes you can find, and some pretty challenging platforming sections for extra tokens. But you might be wondering, if you just go from level to level, then what are the Goofy Goober tokens for?
Oh boy.
So the tokens are for unlocking extra moves. At the start of some levels, if you have enough tokens, Mindy will teach you the move you need to actually play the level. Like, that doesn't seem bad. Other platformers block off levels if you don't have enough MacGuffins. The issue is that usually means you have to go back and play a level you haven't yet to go get more. But in this game, the fastest way to get more tokens is to play the same driving and sliding stages over and over again with different challenges. Remember the prankster comets from Super Mario Galaxy? It's kind of the same idea. Sometimes you have a time limit, or sometimes you have to go through rings, but at the end of the day, it's still the same level. And the tokens you need for some of these moves are pretty high, so you gotta do this a lot if you want to progress. And I'm afraid this has kind of tainted my experience with the game. Replaying these stages is just not fun, especially when you have to restart the entire stage that originally had checkpoints. Something else that definitely doesn't help is the massive difficulty spike that happens in the middle of the game. It starts just getting really frustrating out of nowhere. Welcome to Playing Topless has got to be one of the most frustrating levels in a platformer. So many annoying enemies to use the missile, which does not control very well. Boy, if Superman 64 didn't make you hate going through rings, then this game will. The moment I gave up on trying to beat this game is when you need 50 tokens to get the paddy wagon back. I was trying to do this mission where you have to fly the missile through a series of rings. So what's the issue? It goes on forever! And if you slightly mess up, you have to do the whole thing over again. I was just not having fun. Which is a damn shame, because before I got to the second half of the game, I was ready to say that I like this game more than Battle for the Bikini Bottom. There are some really fun to play stages here with really fun mechanics. I just wish it could have kept that up through the entire game instead of dropping the ball when it was getting really good. But with all that said, I still recommend giving it a shot if you can. If you want something a bit more linear and far more challenging than Battle for the Bikini Bottom, then this is the game for you.
I do really think that there's a great game underneath all the frustration and filler. And if it ever gets the rehydrated treatment, I'll definitely give it another go. But until then, we shall move on to...
Good old Fairly Odd Parents, always telling stories about the inevitability of growing up, with the loss of childhood friends that you were once so close to along with it.
Yeah, this is not that.
Breakin Da Rules starts with Timmy Turner waking up to his fairy godparents trying to get him to wake up, and right off the bat you can tell that the voice acting sounds like it was recorded in a bathroom, under a pillow, in a cave.
Time to get up, sleepyhead! I didn't know Timmy had different legs.
Just another day or two.
You have to get up, Timmy! We have to prepare!
Timmy, we're leaving our star weekend.
Duty calls! Having any fun weekend?
Something else that's strange is how there's absolutely no spaces in between dialogue.
And I like extra helping.
What should I wish now?
You can undo Vicky's wish for starters.
Great idea. I wish I was awake.
Hey Bill, did you get the milk? Yes, I got it right here. Thanks, I got your ball sack. Thank you, it was really starting to itch. No problem, say hi to your mom. Stop talking to my mom.
So Timmy gets frustrated that he has to follow the rules, so he wishes that he didn't have to, and that somehow gives Cosmo and Wanda's wish power to Vicky.
Magic?
So the fairy court decides that Timmy, along with Cosmo and Wanda, must find all the pages of the rules. I don't really understand why we have to go through these ridiculous worlds for the pages. Was the printer just out of ink? The story is a video game story, so it's not really much to comment on, except for this part. The controls aren't that bad. A little stiff for my liking, and sometimes the jump button doesn't always work, but it's functional, I guess. I do wish Timmy would move a little faster. His top speed is about a brisk jog. It basically means that whenever you have to chase wish stars, you kind of have to just wait for them to tire out and grab them because you're not fast enough. So yeah, there's wish stars. Collect 5 of them and Timmy can make a wish. With some pretty catchy jingles to go along with it, I will admit. But these wishes are lame. Like, some of them are cool in concept, but they're so situational. There's a grappling hook which takes forever to use, so it takes all the fun out of what could have been a really enjoyable upgrade. There's a chainsaw, which sounds cool, but is only used for cutting down trees to progress. There's spring shoes that are just kind of hard to control. The worst is the rocket shoes, because if you crash into something, you have to watch the entire wish cutscene again. And what makes all these wishes worse is that they wear off after a small amount of time, so they feel even more lame. The level designs are also pretty boring. It's mostly either aimless wandering or moving forward down a hallway, stopping, and letting the thing move out of the way and then continue. It was just never really that creative. The only level I really enjoyed was Time Warped, where you go back to different time periods to fix issues that Vicky created. Felt like the only one that didn't just feel like a series of hallways. I mean, it doesn't really even matter if the levels were good anyway, because Cosmo and Wanda won't leave you the fuck alone. Feels like every couple of steps they reappear to tell you something, even when the last conversation was like 2 seconds ago. Like, come on, I barely moved! And what makes it worse is that every single time they pop in to tell you something real quick, it tanks the frame rate. In fact, this game has a lot of trouble maintaining 60 FPS. Every single time that there's more than a couple things on the screen, it dips hard. And that's not even mentioning all the times where Timmy loses his arms in cutscenes.
This fucking game is running on toothpicks and glue.
I mean, the game really isn't that horrible. I mean, it's functional. Some games can't even say that. I mean, I actually finished the game, but that's more because it's pretty damn short and pretty easy. It's just kind of boring. Not really much to make it stand out, unlike the next game. The Fairly Odd Parents Shadow Showdown. Now this is a remarkable improvement. Timmy Turner wants to watch the new Crash Nebula special that he's really excited for, but his TV breaks due to some magical interference from an unknown source. So Timmy and his fairies, with the help of Jorgen von Strangle, try to figure out what's causing the interference, unraveling a mystery that involves a stolen jewel, the lost king of Queen of Fairy World, and even a magical muffin to tie it back to the TV show.
Is this story actually good?
Like, it's nothing mind-blowing, but it takes twists and turns and actually keeps you guessing what's really going on and who's really behind it. And it also feels perfectly in line with the show and its writing. The moment you see that the king and queen are actually the villains working for an even bigger shadowy overlord was genuinely a good twist, and I think it was pretty well done. And hey, the voice acting doesn't sound horribly compressed anymore, so that's definitely a plus. In fact, there actually were a good number of jokes that made me laugh.
What's that, Wanda? It says, in case of emergency, break glass.
This is an emergency!
I mean, sure, the story's pretty good, but the gameplay must suck.
Holy shit, they fixed almost all my complaints from last time. There's a sprint button now which lets you run really fucking fast, so no more brisk jogging after wish stars. And I don't know if it's the new animations fucking with me or the fact that the camera actually lets me see what I'm doing, but Timmy doesn't feel as stiff as last time and controls pretty well. And the level design is much better, implementing verticality into the mix, making the space level my favorite because of the jetpack and the freedom it allows. In fact, the levels are far more open and allow for a much more exploration of the area. These feel like actual places and not just endless hallways. The wishes are far better too. For one, they're just more useful and fun to use, like this one that lets you climb walls, or this one that lets you shoot card icons to create pathways and attack enemies, and the jetpack that I mentioned earlier. But you can actually switch between the 3 wishes you get per level in a weapon wheel instead of wearing them out after a while. God damn, why did they even make this game? The one thing they didn't really fix was Cosmo and Wanda. They do show up far less than last time, but they still randomly appear to make jokes, and I wish I just could have kept them for optional hints, even if some of the jokes are actually funny this time. And some of the levels are a little annoying. Get a Clue has got to be one of the most confusing levels I've ever played. It has haunted me ever since childhood. But other than that, this game is just really good. I will admit, you probably won't get much out of it if you aren't a fan of the show like I am. But if you are and want an enjoyable GameCube game to add to your collection, then give it a shot. I mean, it's still better than Madagascar the game. This game was actually made by Toys for Bob, the same people that did the incredible Spyro Reignited trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4. Well, I guess every company has to have their rocky start some way or another. Honestly, the weirdest part of this game is that this was probably the game I played the most as a child. I don't know why. I guess it could have something to do with the fact that I couldn't beat Goma in Ocarina of Time.
Don't worry, I'm not letting myself live that one down either.
The game is a retelling of the plot from the movie, of course, but unlike Spongebob, they actually have clips from the movie, which is cool, but leads to one of the best transitions from cinematic to gameplay I've ever seen.
Wow! That's cool!
Just wow. Film directors are shaking in their boots right now. Madagascar is a pretty standard platformer. It controls well enough, but it's pretty annoying that Alex is the only character to get a double jump. To get new abilities, you have to collect power cards. Collect 3 of them and you obtain a new ability. I don't really know what the point of even having them is, considering that none of them are hard to find or challenging to obtain, so they could have just been given to you at the start of the level and saved time. But enough negative, because I love this voice acting so much. None of the actors who were in the movie reprised their roles, but the cast that got to replace them actually sound pretty damn close.
Come on, Marty! I remembered it's your birthday, okay?
Happy birthday, Marty.
Thanks, Glow.
Oh, things are going okay with me, except of course for the germs. Oh, and then there's the microbes, and then there's the fact that I've been waiting for my medication for the last 38 minutes!
The only exception being Mort, who is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who is an excellent voice actor, most known for being an assload of background characters in Spongebob, and every single clone trooper from the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. But his reputation doesn't stop this performance from sounding nothing like Mort.
Melman! Just who I was looking for! See, the roaches keep trying to steal the noogie nuts for the noogie nut noogie smoothie!
But that's not even the voice acting I'm talking about. I'm talking about all the side characters.
Hey, is it time for me to do my special trick?
Hey, I'm looking for... are you okay?
Yeah, man, I'm great. Fantastic. It's just like, I've got this horn, you know, and I just have to keep charging. But I'm not really charging anything. There's really no purpose to this action. It's just instinct. I don't have a choice in the matter.
Why is Madagascar for the GameCube asking questions I can't answer? Followed by...
That's a sound pole making noise, alright.
In fact, this game is just hilarious for no reason.
Why did she launch like that? I want to see it again.
But funny voice acting doesn't mean that some of these levels aren't annoying. The basic platforming is alright, but whenever they want to introduce gimmicks, it gets really weird. I swear, I never hit my target when using this crane. No. No. No, there we go. I also hate defending these mushrooms from these beetles, which is an idea they reuse again later. Throwing these durians is kind of finicky, and for some reason the game loves putting you into a first-person perspective to shoot things. Whether it's fishing, throwing coconuts, or just straight up shooting people. I also hate defending these lemurs, even if it's funny watching them be dragged into the forest to their deaths.
What's wrong with me?
Overall, this game's alright. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's passable, which is something not a lot of licensed games can say.
And with that, we have concluded our venture into GameCube licensed games. I hope you all enjoyed, and god damn it!
This game is the reason why they put child safety lids on pill bottles.
Makes the nightmare end.
Finding Nemo was a video game created by Traveler's Tales. You know, the same people that made Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic R, and are responsible for every single LEGO game known to man and are still making them to this day. So unlike all the other games in this video that are fully 3D, Finding Nemo is actually a 2.5D game. You can only move left, right, up, and down. There are some parts where you can move forwards or backwards, but you just hold the A button to move left or right, so you can't control going backwards or forwards, so it's still technically 2.5D. And there's a lot of these parts. What is with these licensed games and going through rings? Does someone have a fetish for this shit? But let's get into the game proper. So let's start with the fact that this game is ugly. The models are just so bad looking. Nemo is alright, but just look at what they did to my man Marlin. And it doesn't help that he sounds nothing like him.
Good job! Now we're ready to go to school. Follow me, and remember you can speed up by pressing the move button.
I will, Dad.
And keep trying to swim through all the rings!
In fact, remember how Mort almost sounded nothing like Mort? That's what every character is like in this game. And it's really apparent because of the clips from the film they use.
Careful, my little tidbits. You don't want to be popping any of them balloons. It'd be bad for your health, mate, and mine.
You know you can't swim well!
But let's actually play some levels. Well, you know, if they even load. I don't know if it's my disc or something wrong with my GameCube, but some of these loading times give Sonic 06 a run for its money. You could read the entirety of Moby Dick before this thing finishes loading. By the way, I should mention, I haven't looped this. It's still going. Finally. So like I said before, most of the levels are just going from left to right until you hit a story cutscene. And the first couple of levels aren't too bad. You bounce on stuff, go through tunnels, find the thing for progression, and swim away from scary divers. But after that happens, you switch to Marlin after another wonderful load screen. And fuck this game. It is just a never-ending onslaught of getting hit by enemies you can't see that fly in from all directions. Remember Poison Pond from Donkey Kong Country? Remember how annoying it was when the fish would zip in from the end of the screen and hit you before you even had time to react? Imagine if every level was like that. Marlin just moves so damn fast. It can be fun when there's not a lot of stuff in the way, but that's rarely the case. God, not even these death animations can cheer me up.
Okay, maybe a little.
I mean, I could push on and finish it. I mean, it's not that long, but why would I? Just so I can keep getting hit by shit I can't see and going through endless rings? I got better shit to do, man. This game is just not good. It's boring, frustrating, ugly, and just not fun. I really hope that this game was gonna be good because of how much I loved it when I was a kid, but I think I now realize why I never made it past the 4th level. Unless you want to relive this from your childhood, I recommend staying away from this one.
And now we have actually come to the end of our journey. I really hope you all enjoyed, and if you excuse me, I have to go... Man, I really gotta start increasing security around here.